Welcome back, Magic Misfits. Today we are doing chapter 19 and 20. So let's get started. They're quick chapters. Let's hear it for our hero, BB Bosso, Ollie and Izzy said as they strolled out onto the stage behind Bosso. Bosso seemed confused. He looked to the walrus and the spider lady, but both shrugged, just as puzzled. Come on, keep on clapping, Ollie shouted to the crowd. That's right, Izzy added. Give our hero a warm welcome. Welcome? Ollie said, but the show's over. Is it? Izzy asked, scratching her head. I could have sworn the show was just beginning. Uh-oh. I wouldn't mind that at all, Ollie said. Who wants more? The crowd cheered as Bosso's fake smile began to crumble. The walrus growled at Ollie and the spider lady glared at Izzy, but neither of them could do anything in front of the crowd. They backed toward the edges of the stage. What's wrong, Bosso? You look worried, Izzy said. Surely you don't want to disappoint your fans. Of course not, Bosso stuttered. He's not worried, Ollie said, poking Bosso in the belly. He's hungry. I'd be hungry too after a show like that. I could use a bite to eat myself, Izzy said, taking Bosso's hand and leading him to the center of the stage. Then she pulled out an umbrella and opened it. But I'm worried about the weather. It looks cloudy with a chance of breakfast. Ollie pulled a cord. Heaps of cold eggs, bacon, oatmeal, and bagels showered Bosso. Maple syrup dripped from above, covering him. Assuming this was part of the show, the crowd roared with laughter. Bosso's face turned red under all the oatmeal. He glanced toward the walrus and the spider lady, but they were too busy looking around the auditorium for another way out. Ollie leaned toward the crowd and bit his finger. Oops! What a perfectly dreadful waste of a good meal. Looks like someone has egg on their face, Izzy added. That's our cue, Carter said to the others behind the curtain. Are you ready? Ridley, Theo, and Layla nodded. Theo, in his tuxedo, escorted Layla and Ridley, both in beautiful matching silver sequined dresses, out onto the stage. They tiptoed and wheeled around the spilled breakfast, and Bosso, to the front of the stage. Theo produced his violin from his jacket and a bow from his pocket. Not his magical bow, but a regular one. I'd like to play a tune of thanks for our hero, BB Bosso. Theo's jaunty melody filled the air as Layla grabbed Ollie and Izzy and began a line dance. They tried to get Bosso to dance with them, but he refused, fuming. The twins spun Layla off to the side of the stage, where she rolled into the curtain, wrapping herself in it like a mummy. But when her form unrolled, it was no longer Layla. It was Carter. Ridley held up a sign that said, Applause. The audience obliged again. Where am I? Carter asked the audience. He stumbled away from the curtain in his own magician's suit, top hat, and cape. The audience clapped and laughed in response. I'm on stage? But I have terrible stage fright. He gave a sly wink to the enormous villain. You, Bosso growled. Me, Carter smirked, directing his performance toward the audience. Bosso and I are old friends, you see. He once offered to take me under his wing. Such a generous man. Bosso's face was the color of angry strawberries. If you can picture what strawberries look like angry. The walrus and the spider lady had tried to sneak away, but Ollie and Izzy guided them back to the center stage with Bosso. I'm going to murder you, Bosso whispered so only Carter could hear. Did you hear that, folks? Carter shouted. Bosso wants to make me vanish like he did the diamond. He should know by now. Vanishing is my skill. Carter climbed onto the glass podium and bowed for the audience. When he took off his top hat, 2 white doves flew over the crowd. Ridley tossed the purple sheet into the air, letting it drape over Carter. By the end, the sheet touched the podium. Carter was gone. How did Carter vanish? Simple. The same way Bosso made the diamond vanish using a drop mechanism hidden within the glass podium. When Carter stepped onto the podium, he activated its lever and fell through a secret chute. Like a super fast elevator, he moved from the stage to below the stage, with the sheet hiding his escape. That's from the author. As soon as Carter found his footing, he saw the tattooed baby at the master light switch and the pockpickets with the real Star of Africa. "Put the diamond down," Carter said. "Back for more, we see, we see." Oh gosh, this is a song. "Back for more, we see, we see. You cannot escape, you cannot flee. It's that kid, it's that brat. Let's trap him like a rat," the singer sang. "Did you prepare that verse just in case I showed up?" Carter shivered. "That is pretty creepy." The pockpickets snarled. As the thieving quartet ran at Carter, he pulled a handful of marbles from his pockets and threw them on the floor. The pockpickets slipped and slid, slamming into one another as they flipped into the air. As soon as they hit the ground, Carter leapt on top of them. He pulled 4 sets of handcuffs from his jacket. With his fast hands, he locked one singer's wrist to another's ankle, over and over, until the barbershop quartet couldn't move. "We're supposed to guard Bosso's treasure, and now we'll be the source of his displeasure," they sang. "Let's go!" "How about no?" Carter sang back. The tattooed baby pulled off his shirt and flexed his muscles. He ran at Carter. Carter stepped to the side at the last moment and let the baby run straight into the wall, knocking himself out. "Baby needed a nap," Carter quipped, proud of himself. Carter's my new favorite character. Carter grabbed the diamond and hid it in his top hat. Then he hopped on the elevator mechanism and hit the lever to shoot him back up to the stage. A flash of fire and poof of smoke hid his re-entry. Carter now stood on the podium. Ollie and Izzy were dancing in circles around a fuming Bosso as Theo played his violin for the audience. Ridley again held up her sign saying, "Applause." Carter bowed for the audience, who cheered and whistled. Then he turned, bowing just for Bosso. When he did, he took off his top hat, letting Bosso see what he had inside. "Want the real Star of Africa?" Carter whispered so only Bosso could hear. "Come and get it." Then he ran to the curtain, wrapped himself up in it, and as the form uncurled, Layla popped out. "Hello again," she said. "After that boy," Bosso roared, waving it for his sideshow goons to follow. Carter was backstage. As the villains closed in on him, he pulled a sword out of his sleeve. He hooked his foot into the loop of 2 ropes marked with a pink bow. He cut the second rope, and as several sandbags sped down, Carter flew up. "Ta-ta!" he waved to the villains. "Get him!" Bosso growled, climbing up the nearest ladder. The walrus went after him, but the spider lady climbed straight up the rope. They all careened across the catwalks. The spider lady nearly had Carter, but he pulled 2 decks of cards from his pocket and shot all 104 cards at her. When she tried to run after him, she slipped on the cards and nearly tumbled over the railing. The walrus pulled her upright, then lunged forward, but Carter dodged, leaping to another platform. Rounding a corner, Bosso reached out and snatched Carter's top hat. When he looked inside, it was empty. "Now you see it," Carter said, holding up the diamond in one hand. "Now you don't." With his other hand, he made it disappear. Bosso, the walrus, and the spider lady had convened on Carter's catwalk. They bolted at him, hands outstretched, ready to grab him, but Carter clasped another rope that carried him gently down to the backstage below. Bosso screamed in fury, "After him!" As Carter ran, he could hear his friends at the front of the stage putting on what sounded like a fantastic show. Theo's music, Ollie and Izzy's dancing, and the audience laughter buoyed his heart. "This has to work," he whispered to himself. Now backstage, Bosso and his goons were sliding down poles from above. The walrus landed in front of Carter, with Bosso behind him. Carter ran to the side, through another layer of curtains, and another, and another. He jumped through a canvas painting to look like a brick wall, then ran into a real wall. Bosso was almost on him. Carter turned, ran down a short hall that made a left turn, then another left turn, then a left turn again. He came to a dead end. He turned to the side and ran through a door. It was a props closet, and there was nowhere else to go. "No!" Carter shouted. He was trapped. Normally this would be a cliffhanger, but we are reading chapter 20 as well today. So, chapter 20. As Carter turned, he found himself cornered by Bosso, the walrus, and the spider lady. "You're done, boy," Bosso said. Give me the diamond. Carter looked desperately around the room. There were shelves of old props, a table with an antique gramophone, musty curtains, and giant mirrors. He grabbed a baseball bat from a nearby shelf, accidentally turning the gramophone on. Instead of playing, the needle rubbed against the record as it spun, making a terrible screeching sound. Carter swung the bat as Bosso reached for him. Leave me alone! Give me the diamond you stole, Bosso growled. You stole it first, Carter snapped. And now I'm going to steal it back. As Bosso lunged at Carter, Carter swung again. Bosso backed off, but a sinister grin crawled across his face. You're trapped, boy. Give it up, and I might let you live. Like Mr. Vernon? Carter said. You framed him. The old fool had it coming, Bosso spit. Well, I've got news for him. Once the diamond is mine, I'll have everything I've ever wanted right at my fingertips. And Dante, good boy Dante, will be left to rot in a prison. Until everyone realizes you replaced the Star of Africa with a frake during your act, Carter said, swinging the bat as the walrus and the spider lady reached for him. By then, I'll be long gone. I'll be in Bora Bora, sipping frosty umbrella drinks and working on my tan, Bosso said. You're horrible, you know that! First you set up your carnival game so no one could win, then your pickets robbed the people who came to your show, you paid off the sheriff so he'd look the other way, and now you've stolen the Star of Africa by switching with a fake. You ruined people's lives. Admit it, Carter demanded. I admit all of it. It's not my fault that the world's too stupid to realize when it's being suckered. I only show up where I know I can take advantage. Bosso's wild smirk grew on his face. I'm an entertainer. People adore me. Will that ever make me rich enough? Hardly. But that diamond sure will. So yeah, I took it. What are you going to do about it, kid? Only everything, Carter smiled, dropping the bat on the floor. Thank you, Mr. Bosso. That's all we needed to hear. We? Bosso whispered. Carter pulled a rope hidden in a far corner. The four walls and ceiling of the fake prop room fell away. Carter, Bosso, the walrus, and the spider lady were left standing on the center of the stage. The entire audience, cops and all, had heard everything Bosso had confessed. How? Bosso screamed. You were chasing me backstage through curtain after curtain, Carter said. I led you in one big circle, straight into a trap. And just in case anyone missed your confession, Carter moved the needle back on the gramophone record and switched it from record to play. This part's in recording. I admit all of it. It's not my fault that the world's too stupid to realize when it's being suckered. Boss's recorded voice played back for the audience. Ridley had been holding up a sign for the audience that said, Silence. She tossed it on the floor and wheeled backstage with the others. Then Ridley, Ollie, Izzy, Layla, and Theo pushed a line of hotel room service carts, one tied to the next, onto the stage. They removed the silver tray lids, one after the other. Each cart was heaped with the stolen goods from Bosso's bathtub. Wallets, rings, bracelets, watches, wedding bands, and more. Police! Townspeople! Visitors! Carter shouted. Bosso tried to steal the Star of Africa, but he was also working with the sheriff and a dangerous band of pickpockets. If he lost something in the last few days, it's probably here. He stole my wedding ring, someone in the audience shouted. He stole my wallet. He stole my earrings and bracelet. I spent the whole allowance on his dumb games. The entire audience began booing him. 2 police officers took the sheriff into custody, while the rest rushed the stage and surrounded Bosso and his goons. Theo asked, Would you like to take a final bow? Layla ran off the stage and over to Mr. Vernon. She hugged her dad and said, We did it! Yes, you did, Mr. Vernon said, rubbing at his bruised skull. I never had a doubt in my mind. Let me take those handcuffs off, the policeman said. No need. I've been getting out of handcuffs since I could walk. Mr. Vernon made a peculiar motion with his hands, and the cuffs fell off. He gave them to the police officer. Voila! Brilliant, Carter whispered. And that is the end of chapter 20. So, one chapter left to go. Chapter 21 will be on Wednesday. I almost got it all done during July. I was so close. Oh well. I hope you're all having an amazing summer. I hope you stay safe. I love you all. I miss you. And until next time, bye for now.